Ever since Tekken 8 and Under Night in-Breath 2 launched, I've been lurking on Reddit and other social media platforms to see how new players were faring with the game. And I've been noticing a specific type of post, a blob of text that talks about how the writer is struggling and is losing a majority of their matches. Sometimes they'll have a very broad question, such as, how do I get good at the game? To me, a lot of these sound like a cry for help, and many responders are rightfully treating it as so. They'll ask things like what specific problems they are having or linking beginner discords. This is all fine, but the process is quite inefficient, and frankly, the posts and responses can be better. So in this video, I would like to talk about how to ask for help and also how to answer them. This does sound a bit straightforward, but there are some important techniques behind them. And if you follow these tips, I can guarantee you that it will expedite your learning process while doing it in a less stressful manner. Alright, let's go over an example. Uni Clear was when I picked up Uni first, and while I thought the gameplay was sick, I didn't have the most fun since there was just barely anyone on ever. The netcode was bad and it was generally just hard to pick up. I improved a lot since then at fighting games, but as I pick up Uni 2, I'm still having my ass handed to me by the few players I can manage to come across. I can't tell if I'm really bad or if these players are just nasty, or both. Either way, I wish the game was so much more popular because it really deserves it and it would be easier to get into. That said, if there's any general advice, I'm all ears. The issue here is that the person is asking for advice, but there is not enough detail to give good ones. What character does this person play? How did they lose? Did they go through the tutorial or combo trials? Did they check the wiki or any other guides? With this lack of information, the only thing people can do is suggest the beginner matching Discord, which some people did. Or simply share words of encouragement that may help mentally but not add any solutions to the problem. The best response would be to ask questions like I did earlier to further understand the situation to give specific advice. But this requires effort from the responder, and that's not something most people will do, especially to a stranger on the internet. The important thing here is to realize that we don't know you. We don't know who you play and what you're struggling with. You have to provide that. So here's a general list of things you should add to these types of posts. 1. General skill level. Is this your first fighting game? Did you come from a different series? What are you mechanically capable of? This can help gauge what kind of solutions people can suggest. 2. The character you're playing. Strategies will wildly change between characters. This is a must. 3. Specific problems that you are having. In this case, you can say things like, I cannot keep my offense going since I don't have good enders in Okizeme. Or, I don't know how to deal with long-range normals and specials from these characters. Specific questions lead to specific answers, and specific answers lead to clear paths to improvement. 4. What have you tried so far? Did you attempt to do specific counters such as defensive mechanics or reversals? What attacks are you using in neutral? Did you look at wikis, guides, or other people's replays? This information avoids situations where people suggest things that you've already done. 5. What do you want? Be specific. Say things like, I need a set of combo enders that would allow me to loop Okizeme with easy execution. Or, how do I stop these characters from jumping and doing their X attack? Asking this helps clarify what your goals are. Solutions are much easier to suggest with this information. 6. This requires a bit more effort, but record a replay so others can watch. This is especially useful for beginners who have yet to understand the general flow of fighting games. If you have a hard time pinpointing what you need to work on, this is a good way to start. With this general set, you can get straight to the point and potentially get good advice from knowledgeable people. The key is to be descriptive. Now let's look at another example. This tweet is asking for a Merkava side switch combo for Under Night in-Breath 2. It mentions that they learned of a side switch combo from Trial 5-5, but they were having trouble doing it when changing the stream. So they're looking for an alternative. It even specifies a damage range. Very good. It has all the things I suggested except the player's skill level, but that can be inferred by the request itself. Now the problem is what follows. Someone responded to this by suggesting a combo route from one of my tweets. This route is quite good in terms of damage in Okizeme, but has very tricky inputs and awkward delays. It is something I personally will only recommend to advanced players who are comfortable with the character and looking to optimize their routing. This is most likely not what the person is asking for. Let's take a closer look. First, the tweet mentions that they are okay with low damage. Your typical 2A starter generally gives anywhere from mid 2000s to mid 3000s damage. Since the player seems to know these ranges, you can guess that they are not new to the game or the genre. They are probably just new to the character. This also suggests that they are willing to sacrifice damage for something that is easy to execute. So in this case, it's probably better to suggest a beginner or intermediate combo without any tricky inputs or delays. So that's what I did. The person followed me afterwards, so I assumed they got what they wanted and my reads were correct. The takeaway here is that some advanced players have a wealth of knowledge and the means to get them, but can't pass the information in a relatable manner. I see this quite often as high-level players would suggest really difficult solutions such as execution-heavy counters and complicated options. There's really no point in telling people who's just started their first fighting game to do things like option selects and discerning different types of block strings and attacks that look very similar. The important thing is that the people responding need to relate to the poster and answer in ways that they can comprehend and apply. I know a lot of these folks have good intentions, but stuff like this only leads to beginners going, "Oh no, I can't do any of these techniques. This game isn't for me." And that defeats the purpose, right? So all in all, the key point is to practice empathy. If you're asking for advice, make sure to provide detailed information so that the people responding doesn't need to do guesswork or ask for further questions that you could have provided in the initial post. You are using their time, so make sure to respect it. If you show effort making these posts, it's more likely people will spend effort in responding. As for the people answering, try to be in the shoes of the person asking. Something that may be easy or obvious to you may not be for the person asking. If you want to grow your community, it's important to offer advice in forms that beginners can practice and execute. Also, telling them things like, "You just have to repeatedly get beaten up to get better," or "You just have to grind," is neither helpful nor encouraging. It's important to provide something that they can actually apply. As a very important note, I am not condemning any of these posts or responses. Asking questions is a great way to start, and it's very cool that these folks care enough to do so. Same with the people answering. They could have simply carried on with their day, but decided to help. It's very commendable. And we all do appreciate it. Anyways, those are my thoughts for interactions on social media. Let me know what you think in the comments. Regarding helping new players, I plan to do some Q&A and match review streams for Under Night in Birth 2, so visit me on Twitch and Twitter if you are interested. Alright, until next time, have fun with fighting games.